Hi, this video will help you get started with Zoom. Zoom is an easy-to-use audio and video conferencing platform that allows for online meetings with screen sharing and annotation capabilities. The Zoom software is available for free to all UCSB students, staff, and faculty. Instructors can use the software to hold online office hours, bring in guest speakers from anywhere around the world, create virtual spaces for students to meet and group together, give a live lecture while off campus, and allow students and athletes to attend class virtually. Zoom integration with Gauchospace allows instructors to schedule meetings directly from a course site and set meeting details. The Gauchospace integration also allows students to easily find and join both scheduled and recurring Zoom meetings that you've created for a specified week or topic. It is recommended to use a wired headset microphone for optimal sound quality. A robust hardwired internet connection is also crucial for reliable connectivity. Lastly, a webcam is optional but can provide live video feed of yourself, students in a classroom, or even whiteboard and chalkboard notation. Now we're going to get to downloading and signing into Zoom. As mentioned, the Zoom software is available to all UC students, staff, and faculty. However, you'll first have to authenticate your account, especially if you've never logged into Zoom before. To do so, you're going to open up your web browser and go to the UCSB Zoom homepage, which is at ucsb.zoom.us. From here, you will click on the sign-in link under Quick Links. This will take you to the UC Santa Barbara single sign-in page, where you will use your UCSB NetID credentials to sign into Zoom. After you log in, your Zoom profile page will be displayed in front of you. You will want to make note of your sign-in email address, which is listed in the sign-in email block on Zoom. In order to make sure that the Zoom and Gauchospace integration is properly set up, you will need to verify that both accounts are using the same email address. And you can do this by visiting the Identity and Access Management page. That's found at im.ucsb.edu/the letters IAM/my profile. From here, you want to take a look at the Edit Your Name's Profile block and bring that down. And under the primary department's email or UCSB default email, you will see the email address that UCSB has on file for you. You want to make sure that this email and this email match. If they do not match, you can go ahead and enter an alternative email down here under secondary department email, select that one, and update your profile. Once the email addresses are consolidated, you want to visit the ucsb.zoom page again, and we're going to download Zoom. This will then bring up the download center for Zoom, and we're going to download the Zoom client for meetings. Once Zoom is downloaded and installed on your machine, you can go ahead and launch the program. This is the initial page you will see, where you will click on Sign In. And from here, you're going to click on Sign In with SSO on the right-hand side. It will ask you for your company domain, in which you will type in UCSB before the .zoom.us text that's pre-filled, and hit Continue. This will then open up the UC SSO page once again. However, since we just recently signed in, it logged us in, and it will ask you if you want to allow this page to open zoom.us, which you will click Allow. This will then go back to the Zoom application and log you into your personal account. You can verify that by checking your initials are in the top right-hand corner. From here, you can go ahead and create a new meeting, join a meeting, or schedule a future or reoccurring meeting. Now we're going to schedule a Zoom meeting via Gauchospace. If you plan to use Zoom with your students and/or TAs, it may be easier to use the built-in Zoom integration tool to create and schedule Zoom meetings within Gauchospace course pages. With this implementation, any meeting links and meeting details will be only available to those enrolled or have access to your Gauchospace courses. To schedule a meeting, you will go ahead and log into your Gauchospace page. And scroll down and select the course in question. From here, you will turn editing on in the top right-hand corner. And then you want to also turn on advanced tools. Once you've turned editing on and toggled the advanced tools, you can scroll down to the week where you would like to add a Zoom link to. And when you find the section, you want to click on an Add an Activity or Resource link. Here you'll get a list of activities which you can then scroll down to and select Zoom Meeting and click Add. This will then let you input some of the Zoom meeting details. You can select a specific date and duration that you expect the meeting to be, or you can simply mark it as a reoccurring one. You can select some other options about whether you would like the host video to start initially. Same with the participants video. For audio options, you want to make sure VoIP and telephony are selected. And for this last meeting option, you want to enable join before host. Once you're done, you can go ahead and click Save and Display to get an overview of your Zoom meeting details. Now that you've scheduled a meeting via Gauchospace, I'm going to show you how to launch one. So go ahead and click on the course and scroll down to your Zoom meeting. Click on the link. It will open up your meeting details, and you want to go ahead and click the blue Start Meeting button. This will then prompt you if you want to open up the Zoom application, which you click Allow. And then Zoom application will launch on your computer. You can join with computer audio, and you have now initiated the meeting.
Three ways meeting controls can help you are to, number one, decrease distractions in your meeting, number two, allow you to present material, and number three, to foster interaction. In terms of decreasing distractions, you can see there's lots of different ways to do this. Distractions are the number one thing that derail a Zoom meeting. Let's see what these look like in Zoom. As your students join your meeting, you're going to have some people waving to each other and perhaps talking with one another. However, when you're ready to start class, you're going to want to make sure that all of your participants' microphones are muted. In order to do that, let's look at the controls at the bottom of the screen. First, you'll see that you can mute and unmute your own microphone. Second, you can start and stop your video. In order to control your students' microphone and video, you'll need to click on Manage Participants. From here, you'll be able to see everybody in your class, and you can simply go down to the bottom and click Mute All. You'll be asked whether you want to allow participants to unmute themselves. I'd recommend that if you have more than 10 people, you do not allow participants to unmute themselves and instead have participants signal that they'd like to contribute by either waving in their video or raising their hand. Snoopy will show you what it looks like when he raises his hand. Over here, we can now see that Snoopy has raised his hand. I can then say, "Snoopy, what do you have to say?" and unmute him, I can lower his hand as well. Another important feature is forcing people to mute upon entry. You can find this in the More box and make sure that mute upon entry is checked. If you have a smaller number of students, you might uncheck that so that they can chat with each other before the official session begins. In terms of muting videos, there is no button to mute all of the videos at once, so instead you would have to go in here and stop the video for individual students. At this point, they won't be able to restart their own video, so you would have to ask them to restart it. Finally, you may notice that as students jump into your meeting, the spotlight moves around. And if you want to control who is featured in the main screen, you can hover over their name, then click Pin Video. This will only work if you have video going, so right now, I can't pin my own video. Next, let's look at important controls for presenting material. Oftentimes, you're going to want to share your screen. You'll find that control here. When you click on Share Screen, you'll have the option to share your own desktop. Anything that you decide to show on your desktop will be shown to participants. This could be a PowerPoint presentation, it could be a website that you want to feature, it could be showing something on an Excel spreadsheet. Alternatively, you might decide that you want to do some work on the whiteboard. Again, you would click Share Screen, and from here you can choose Whiteboard. Hopefully you'll be doing something a little bit more worthwhile than this. Finally, some people might want to run the meeting from their laptop, but annotate over slides or a PDF from their iPad or other tablet. You can do that again with the share screen, and you can connect to an iPhone or iPad via AirPlay or with a cable. And if you're feeling really motivated, another way to connect any device would be to simply have that device join the meeting, and then you can have it share the screen, share its screen. By default, any of your students are going to be able to share their screen and to push content to all of the people in your meeting. That could be a little bit dangerous if you have a lot of students. If you'd like to prevent that, you want to go to the arrow next to Share Screen, click it, go to Advanced Sharing Options, and here you can decide who can share. If I have a larger group of students, I'll click that only I can share. Lastly, you can record your presentation in Zoom. This will make it accessible to students who aren't able to join synchronously, but please note that California law requires you to inform your students before you record them. To record in Zoom, you can go down to the bottom and press Record. The last controls that we'll talk about are used for fostering interaction. I'm going to close the participants window, and next we're going to look at the chat. In the chat, both myself, the instructor, and the students have an opportunity to type messages to either the whole group, or by changing this drop-down, I can send messages to individual participants. The chat is really useful in terms of communicating with your students, but as a presenter, it can get quickly overwhelming to see lots of questions pop up in the chat. You'll need to come up with a protocol to manage the chat. If you have a TA, it may be really useful for that person to be monitoring the chat. Otherwise, you can signal to students when you plan to stop, give them a little break, look through the chat, and then respond to any questions that they might have. Finally, there are breakout rooms. Breakout rooms give you the ability to break your larger meeting into smaller groups. So if you have a group of 20 students and you want them to get into pairs, you can use breakout rooms to have it automatically assign participants into rooms. You can also have it allow you to manually allocate people into rooms. That's a little bit beyond the scope of this video, but if you want to look into it, do a Google search in Google Videos for Zoom Managing Video Breakout Rooms. We'll have more on this feature and other advanced features in future videos. Thanks so much for joining.
Hello, this is a brief video to demonstrate how to use Zoom and Google Slides together to do live automatic closed captioning. Very briefly, closed captioning is important not only for people with hearing loss, but for people for whom English is not their first language, such as myself. For people who might have background noise going on, or for people who, for whatever reason, cannot have the sound on the device. So I really encourage you to use closed captioning to whatever degree is feasible and possible for your classes, because it really helps a lot of different folks. Now, Zoom does not have a built-in automatic live captioning system. So basically, you would need to get someone, or rather pay someone, to type the captions either live or to do it afterwards. However, Google Slides offers a sort of a workaround, which is not perfect, but it works, it gets the job done, and that's what I'm going to be demonstrating here. I should note that these closed captions only work as long as you are actually running and sharing the Google slide presentation. So for parts of my presentation, I will have to exit out of Google Slides, so we will lose closed captioning for those parts. I apologize for this, and I will try to tell you what I'm going to do ahead of time. So basically, what we're going to do now to get things started is we're going to open Zoom. You're going to start recording the Zoom session if you want to. Then you will share your screen in presentation mode. Then you will launch the captions, closed captioning. And then basically you should be running. So I know that's a lot of steps, so now I'm going to demonstrate it. So I already have Zoom open right here, and I'm going to launch a new meeting. I'm going to do it without video because I don't want to feature my talking head. I'm going to join with computer audio because for me that's the right option. And then because I want to record my Zoom session so that I can have it online, I'm going to click record. So now it's recording my Zoom session. And then I'm going to share screen. I'm going to find the correct screen with the slides, and I'm going to click share. And here comes the crucial step. I have already activated closed captioning. However, by default, they will be off. So what you need to do is you need to go down here and you need to click on the CC button, captions. You have a couple of options. You can choose the text size, and you can choose whether to have the closed captioning at the top, which is what I have right now, or at the bottom. But as soon as you've pushed that CC button, you should be seeing what I'm seeing here, which is the closed captioning running either at the top or at the bottom of the page. And this entire screen is what your students will also be seeing. So they will see both the slide and the closed captioning, and they will be able to hear your voice. Now, as I mentioned, closed captioning only works as long as you are sharing your slides. So once you're done with your presentation, if you have one, what you can do is what I've done here, and is to have a blank slide or a picture of your pet or whatever you think will be less distracting and or more entertaining for your students. Now, I should say that the automatic closed captioning is not perfect. It's especially not perfect if you have a little bit of an accent, like I do. So you might want to give your students a heads up so that if they see something that looks really odd, they don't take it at face value, and instead they can try and figure out or reach out to you to figure out what you were saying at that point. All right, so then once you're done with your session and you're ready to stop, what you'll do is you will stop sharing your screen, you're going to quit recording, and you're going to leave the Zoom meeting, and this will automatically produce a recording file as long as you have been recording. And as a heads up, when I do this, we will lose closed captioning at some point. So here we go. I'm going to stop share. And I'm going to stop recording. And then I'm going to end the meeting. Okay, and now it's converting the meeting recording. So I hope you have patience for a few seconds so that we can actually see what the final result looks like. Let's just wait a few seconds and hope the bandwidth works in our favor. All right, here we go. And now I have to exit out of Google Slides to view the recording, unfortunately. So we'll lose closed captioning. But what happens here is that at least on my computer, a file organizer automatically pops up with this folder. And what you're typically interested in will be Zoom 0. So let's open that file. And I think there will be some blank space at the beginning. Okay, but here we go. So here you can see what it's going to look like. There's the slide, there's the closed captions at the top, and it will also have sound. All right, so that is it. Thank you for watching, and I hope this is helpful for you. Bye.